And sit up straight and tall. We'll take a moment to drop in. So, whatever is needed in your practice today, can you make a commitment in these first few breaths here to honor yourself and to be where you are, to not necessarily blindly follow where I take you, but to diverge and take the path that's best for you? So let's breathe our way here. Feel a sense of dropping into the body. Allow the shoulders to soften. Pay attention to the line of your spine. So we don't want to ramrod ourselves up. We don't want to have this tension and pressure in our posture. We want to have ease, but we also don't want to slump. So see if you can find that balance point where we're yielding our pelvis and we're feeling the spaciousness, the expansiveness of the spine. Infuse your breath into all of the places you can find. Melt your eyes. As you're ready, place the palms together at your heart. Bow in, see if you can soften into your own internal presence. Create an intention here. Let's release the hands and find our way onto our back. All right, so as you come to lie down, we're going to do some deeper holding back body stretching today. So let's just start with feeling how the spine rests differently when we are on our back, where everything, it just shifts perspective a little bit when we're horizontal versus vertical. And then as you're ready, stretch your arms overhead and feel into the reach of the body. Maybe reach the left side and reach the right side and welcome yourself home into your practice here. Try to let your body feel good in your practice. So remember, we're taking that perspective of feeling into the whole body, not just always burrowing into one little tiny place. All right, bring the knees into the chest and let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And then let's circle. So as you hold onto your knees and circle them, pay attention to your sacrum, your SI joints, that sense of stability that you have there. And then change directions. Notice how your SI joints feel. And then let's open up the knees away from the center and bring them back in toward the center. Just finding your way into some openness. Feeling the hip joints. All right. And then put your knees so that you're still holding on to your knees. Your knees are hip width apart from each other. And our arms are kind of straight. They don't have to be totally straight, but we're not pulling our knees in toward our chest so much. We're going to put our left hand on the top of your knee, so like the very bottom of your thigh, top knee, and take your right hand and scoop it onto the top of your shin below your knee. So one hand on left above the knee, one hand on right below the knee. Keep the knees in line with each other. So we're not going to let the legs move. We're not going to let the knees move at all. push your knees and hands into each other. So we're going in oppositional directions here. Breathing while you maintain that effort. And then relax. And we're going to switch. Put your right hand on the top of the knee, left hand below the knee on the top of the shin, and press hand and knee into each other, trying not to let the knees move at all. So we're trying to stay hip width apart, stay in line with each other, and just feel into the work of stabilizing the sacrum. Let your head relax, your neck relax. And then relax that one more time each side. This is good for stabilizing the SI joints. Left hand on the top of knee, right hand on the bottom. Press against the knees with hands and press the knees into the hands. Okay, so we're just finding that oppositional work. Breathe, melt what you can. And then relax. And one more time, the second side. So right hand on top of knee, left hand on top of shin, below knee, and press hands and knees into each other. So you might find, a little discrepancy between one side and the other. Go ahead and relax, and that's okay. Let's open the knees away from each other one more time, and then bring them back in. Right knee hugs in, left leg comes long on the floor, and start to move your feet around. So roll around in your ankles, wiggle your toes, feel your feet move and stretch. And open up the breath. And change sides. Left knee comes in, right leg comes long on the floor, and feel that length through your spine, through your legs, through your hips. Feel free to move your feet around, wiggle your toes, roll around in your ankles, whatever feels nice. All right, go ahead and relax. We're going to grab a strap here if you have a strap. Otherwise, you can hold the back of your leg. Wrap the strap around your right foot. Your left foot can be flat on the ground with your knee bent, or your left leg can be on the ground, whatever feels best to your body. So I have enough give on the strap where my shoulders are not hiked up. It can be nice and relaxed through the upper body. All right, so move your hip away from the shoulder, feel the length of your spine, and just enjoy opening up the back of the leg. Feel your head rest down. Make sure you're feeling a little heavy in the upper body. Now, when you're ready, just flex and point your toe a few times up there in the air. All right, now spread out the bones of the feet. Feel the femur bone root down into the earth and take it back away from your shoulders. Feel the full back body length through your leg, from heel to sit bone. Notice your head, see if you can stay heavy. And we're going to open up the right leg out to the right. So grab onto the strap with the right hand, feeling that sense of openness. Lengthen through your spine here, breathing deeply. Full inhales, full exhales. Just enjoy the inner thigh lengthening. Full breaths, heavy head. And then lift that leg straight up. We're going to take the strap over to the left hand and cross the right leg over to the left. So stretching the outside of the hip now, feeling the outside of the leg open up. We're still moving your hip away from the shoulder. Feel the length of your spine and open up into the breath. And reach that leg straight up in the air. Move your hip away from the shoulder. Okay. And then when you're ready, put 2 feet in the strap and just notice the difference between your 2 legs. Have a breath here. And then as you're ready, put your right foot down onto the ground. Start to pay attention to what's happening in the left leg now. So root the femur bone, lift up through the foot. Feel free to flex and point your toes for a moment, just to let the lower leg kind of get a little mobility. shoulders away from the ears. Rise up through the heel, reach down through the hip. Feel the full back of your leg start to open up. Your right leg can be flat on the ground or knee bent, foot on the ground, whatever feels good. Now notice, where do you feel this? Do you feel this in your lower leg? Do you feel it in the outer hamstring or the inner hamstring? See if you can spread the hamstrings broadly. And then we're going to open up the left leg out to the left. Feel the reach of crown to tail. Open up through the spine. Heaviness in the head and the shoulders. So see what it feels like to open up the inner thighs here. Breathing well. As you're ready to lift that leg straight up in the air again, we're going to cross the left leg over to the right side. So grab on with the strap in the right hand. Left hip away from left shoulder. Notice the inseam of that leg, left leg. See if you can stretch from inner thigh to inner foot. Melt the head and the shoulders. Stay as easy and gentle as you can. Lift that leg straight up in the air again. Okay, once again, 2 feet come into the strap. Stretch the legs up, root the hips down. Spread out the bones of the feet. And then we're going to take the strap off. Hold your legs up there. Bring your arms overhead, out to the sides or down by your sides. Feel into the core. See if you can stabilize your core. And then we're going to slowly lower your legs down to the ground. Now, if you need to bend your knees, go ahead and bend your knees on the way down. And relax and melt your way onto the floor. All right, let's go ahead and starfish out your body. Stretch your limbs. Exhale. Draw your knees into your chest. Come rolling over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so all fours. Start to move your way through your spine. Okay. All right, so fine. Moving my mat a little bit. Just find your way onto all fours and start moving. Cat cows with breath. Notice, where does your breath naturally take you? Where does your breath maybe not so naturally take you? Is there some place you could bring the breath? And then see what it feels like to just move your spine about. You can wag your tail from side to side. You can move around in your vertebrae. Move around in your head. Rest your hips back toward the heels and walk the hands forward. Stretch into the length of your spine here. Walk those hands so that you have an openness through the spine. Walk the hands over to one side or the other and feel the side body open up and stretch. Drop some weight down into the hips. Relax your head. And come back over to the other side. All right, now come back to center. Now, if it's comfortable, put your elbows on the ground. Your hips can be high or low. Just depends on what is available for your body. And we're going to drop our thumbs toward our back and start to open up the triceps a little bit. Stretch your spine so you're lengthening your tail away from your crown. And feel the length through the triceps instead of just sinking the shoulders down. Have a little loft under the armpits and stretch from elbows to hips. And walk the hands back down and come up to puppy pose. So our hips stay high now. And we're going to drop the torso down, opening up through the thoracic spine a bit. And then walk your knees forward, back onto all fours, and move the spine about any way you want. Inhale, left arm lifting high to the sky. Exhale and slide that shoulder down, finding a twist. Enjoy the openness through the back of your body. Let your head relax, let your jaw relax, your eyes relax. All right, once you're ready, let's come out of that pose. Arm coming to the sky again. Hand comes down onto the ground and change sides. Lift that arm up. Exhale and slide that arm underneath. Gaze toward the ground. Big breaths here. Full inhales and exhales. Open up your breathing. All right, then inhale, reach that arm back up to the sky. Hands come down and find our pose. All right, so enjoy. So here's a full back line stretch. Feel the hands root and then push off the hands. Feel free to pedal your feet so you can drop one heel down and then the other heel down if that feels nice. Feel free to bend the opposite knee. So once you get a little steadier, a little less, moving, a little more stillness, feel into the roots of this pose. So drop your weight into your hands and your feet, and then rebound to feel the length through your body. Can you lift up through your shin bones, your thigh bones lifting? Can you spread open the bones of your feet? Can you have the feeling that you're both going down to the earth and rising out of the earth simultaneously? Remember to feel the big picture view. So we want to have the full body sensation, the full breath sensation in this posture. All right, walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you want. Wag your tail if you want to. Relax your shoulders. Inhale for a halfway lift. Opening up the backs of the legs again. Spread open the bones of the feet. Find your breath. And then exhale and melt and fold. Drop your seat, lift your chest, and rise all the way up. Come to stand. All right, so pause here for a moment. We're upright now. We allow the shoulders to soften down away from the ears. A full breath in and out. All right, you ready? Lift your heart to the sky, open chest, cactus, open the arms, feel the shoulder blades find each other on the back of it. And then one more time, arms coming up. Open up cactus, the arms, feel the back body engage, and then round the spine and bring the forearms to touch toward each other. Lift those arms up, grab onto the right wrist with the left hand, and a little bit over to the side. So stay rooted in the feet as you open up through the side body. Breathing deeply. Back to center, grab onto the left wrist now with the right hand and over to the side you go. All right, and release and relax the arms. And just let them soften, and you can shake out your hands if you want. You can shrug your shoulders up and then release them, and just have a little bounce in the body. So just, a little bit of movement, kind of like jiggling your whole body, getting that sense that you're vibrating from your feet up to your crown. All right, and then maybe you want to have your feet a little wider for this. Maybe hip width apart is right for your body. You decide. We're going to do some twisting. We're going to start with our arms low, where they're just kind of dangling and flopping. And just allow the thoracic spine to start warming. Now remember your core. So engage your core a little bit here. So as you flop to the right, maybe your navel is turning a bit to the left. So you find a little sense of stability in the center body. Stay in your breath. And then we're gonna start to move the arms out a little bit. And they can be lower than the shoulders, in line with the shoulders, whatever feels good. And now you can pivot onto one foot if you want. So let everything turn in the same direction. And then maybe the arms lift up. Okay, and you can do a little squat in between if you want. Just opening up the movement of the thoracic spine in particular, but really the whole spine is getting a lot of range of motion here. Okay, now squat a little lower. And then we're going to lean down and we're still swaying. So I brought my feet wider apart now, and I'm dropping weight into one knee and then dropping weight into another knee. And find your way back up. Legs are wide open, the chest. And then release and find a forward fold with your legs a little bit wider than the mat. Just notice the hamstring stretch, how it's different here than when your feet are closer. And then walk your hands forward and bring your feet back into dog pose. So feel free to pedal your feet, opening up the calves a little bit. And we're going to come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. Integrate into the center body as best as you can. Feel that sense of core strength and stability. Inner thighs a little bit lifting to the sky. And then find your way down to the ground. Roll the shoulders, take a deep breath. Cobra pose, chest opens and broadens. Exhale and melt back down. Once more, lifting up, finding your breath. Exhale and lowering yourself back down. All right, so find some ease. Rock your hips from side to side here. We're going to bring the right arm out to the right to the side and bring your left leg and put your left foot behind you. Now, if this is too much for your shoulder, lower your hand, your right arm down next to your hip more. Okay, find the breath and then relax and come back down. Second side, left arm. Decide where you want it to be. We're going to turn and open up onto our side and bring our right foot behind us and plant the foot down on the ground. Now we're going to do this action a little faster. So notice where it was comfortable for your shoulders. Sometimes straight up, but sometimes lower down. I'm going to have my hands lower down toward my pelvis. All right, so back onto our belly. We're turning to the other side. And then back onto the belly. Lifting the leg, bring it behind you, touch down. And a couple more times each side, just kind of moving into some thoracic mobility, whole spine mobility here. How's the breath? All right, and then relax and melt. Bring your hands underneath your forehead. Pick up your feet and just rock. Windshield wipering, coming left and right. All right, come up onto all fours. Feel free to move the spine about in any way that serves. Okay, onto all fours. Take your left foot straight back behind you and curl your toes under. Feel the calf open up. And we're going to walk the foot to the other side of the mat. So we're going to cross over the right foot and put your left foot down onto the ground, toes curled under. Square up the hips and turn and look out over that foot. Breathing deeply. Okay. And then bring that knee back. Child's pose in between the two sides. And then back up, place your left foot, knee on the ground, right foot comes back, curl your toes under. Lengthen through your spine here. And then we're going to cross that foot over to the other side, square everything to the floor, and then turn and look out over that foot, feeling the side of your body open up. The deep low back muscles open up a bit. And then come back to center, child's pose one more time. Feel free to rock a little bit left and right. Now, if you want to skip a dog pose, just bring your right foot forward now to a lunge. If you like dog poses, lengthen through your spine and find the breath. And then we're going to bring our right foot forward into a lunge. Have your blocks handy if you use blocks. If you like blocks, open up through your spine here. Full breaths in and out. Okay, we're going to straighten and bend the front knee. Find your way carefully and gently into opening up the backs of the legs as well as the hip flexors. All right, and come to a lunge, and you can always put your back knee down on the ground if you want. So find that sense of openness. Now you can decide whether you want your back knee on the ground or up. We're coming into a crescent lunge. So reaching the arms to the sky, open up, find the breath. And we're gonna twist over to the side here. Elbow to the outside of the knee, hand on the ground, knee on the ground. You choose a variation of a twist that's right for your body. Ground your right big toe into the earth. Open up across your collarbones. Breathe deeply. And then release and relax. Come back to dog pose, to child's pose, to whatever pose feels right for your body. Deep inhales, long exhales. All right, let's bring your right foot back, left foot forward now. Come into a lunge on this side. So if you like blocks, put them underneath your hands and start to move when you're ready. So straightening and bending that front knee. Let the chin tuck toward the chest if you want to while you straighten the leg. Breathing well. And decide how you want to be. In your lunge, would you like to come up to crescent lunge and have your knee off the ground? Would you like to keep your knee on the ground? So find the pathway that works for your body, and then see if you can take the same twist on this side as you took on the other side. So you can have your knee down like I'm doing, or you can keep it up. Whatever feels good. We're twisting to the left. Feel into the openness of that hip flexor, lengthen through your spine, stabilize your legs. All right, unwind that, find your way. We're gonna walk the back foot forward, come into Uttanasana. Halfway lift, the spine grows. Now pause here for a moment. You can put your blocks on whatever height you want them to be. If you have blocks, I would suggest using them because it helps you to keep the spine a little bit longer, which we want for right this moment. So spread open the bones of your feet. See if you can feel the groundedness in the four corners. Root those four corners down and then lift like you have a bootstrap around your arches that you're lifting up, 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 all the way to the inner thighs. Engage your quads. So you want the outer hips and the inner thighs to feel like they're lifting from the arches. And at the same time, you want to have that grounding through the bones of your feet. Feel the heads of the thigh bones drop back so the spine has all this space. And then release and relax. Bend your knees again, soften. Put your hands, if they fit, underneath the feet, okay, all the way to your wrists. And then start to straighten the legs, whatever millimeter they go. Lengthen the spine forward. Full breaths here. Neck is soft. And then relax and melt again. Halfway lift. Exhale and drop back. All right. So let's take our right foot forward. The left foot's going to come back and we're going to place our knee down on the ground for a moment. And so come into a straight front leg. The toes lift up off the ground. You stack your blocks so that you have some support underneath you. Open up through your spine. Find the breath. I'm pretty much upright in my torso now. Flexing my toes toward my face. And if you notice that your leg wants to turn out, have a little internal rotation in that leg. We're going to find a twist here. So always, if you can't be on your back knee, you can always just come into a regular lunge and twist. But if you're able to straighten that leg, drop the hip down, lift the spine, and then open your wings. Spread that arm out, open across your collarbones. Try to stay internally rotated with your thigh. So the tendency will be to want to turn that hip out. So internally rotate, drop the hip down, and open the chest. All right, come into a lunge. Relax the spine. And we're going to come back to switch sides. So you can sit back onto your heels for a moment and then change directions. Left foot is now stretching out in front of you. The heels down, the toes are up. So just decide, walk your blocks back so that you are, maybe even just your fingertips are on the block. So there's a little balance involved here. We want to stay upright in our torso. Imagine a weight hanging off your left sit bone. Find the breath. Now we're going to find our way into a twist. I like to stack one block on top of the other so I can stay really spacious in my spine. And open up that arm behind you. Twist open. Spread the collarbones. Open the chest. Remember the internal rotation of that left thigh. Drop a weight onto your left sit bone and reach through your crown. Finding the breath. Flex your toes toward your face. And then relax and come into a very long lunge here. And then back to child's pose. Take your hips back toward the heels. Relax the spine. All right, we're going to open up our hip flexors now a little bit. I know, I said we're going to focus on the back body, but a little bit of the front body too. Bring your right foot forward. So in a lunge, now you have choices with this because this is not so easy for a lot of people. You can have your left hand down on the ground, right foot is on the floor, left knee is on the ground behind you. And then we're going to reach back and grab the left foot with the right hand and open up to a twist. Now, if this is too much for you, then you get to either be on your side, stretching your quadriceps, or standing up and stretching your quadriceps. You can even hold on to something if you need. So we just want to open up the quads here. If you're in the lunge, you'll also get the experience of opening the hip flexors, not just the quadriceps, but you do you, so whatever is feeling good for your back, your knee, and of course, the muscles that you're stretching. Open the chest. All right, relax and melt that out of there. And we're going to change sides. So decide which of those three postures you're going to do. Open up through the hip flexors if you can. If you're in the lunge, having your hand on a block can be very helpful to give you that a little bit more height in the spine, but you do not have to have, you can be your hand on the floor too. So just find where it works. Drop the hip down, the chest stays broad and open. Deep breaths here. So Try to get the whole belly of that muscle to open up. Relax, come out of there and find your way back to dog pose. So as you bring your hands down onto the ground, notice where your body is in space. Give yourself over to the length of your spine. Breathing well. Full inhales and exhales, ground hands and feet, rise through spine. Come forward into a plank when you're ready. Integrate into the center of the body. Lower yourself down all the way, halfway, cobra, up dog, whatever feels good. And then melt and fold. Come back up onto all fours. Maybe you stretch back to child's pose. Just kind of see what makes your body feel good. And then we're going to find our way all the way up into Uttanasana, fold in half, breathing deeply. Relax your head. And then we're going to rise all the way up to stand. Turn to the long edge of your mat. Take your legs wide apart, maybe not quite as wide as like a standing pose, but wide. And we're going to come down to an inner thigh stretch. So spread out the bones of the feet. We're going to take our elbows or forearms on the inside of the knees, open up through the chest. Feel free to move into one foot and then move into the other foot with your weight, or stay grounded through all four corners of both feet. Breathing well. Try and then lift the hips high. Take the feet wide, turn the toes straight, or maybe even in. And we're going to open up into a wide-legged pose. Now you have choices. Maybe you want to bring your arms forward and your thigh bones back, like dog pose arms. Maybe you want your hands underneath your chest. Maybe your head goes to the floor or to a block. So find what works. Breathing well. So the hamstrings, you know, they're unique muscles. You have more than one. So we want to have that sense of broadening out the hamstrings and opening up the full back of the leg. Then we're going to come to a squat on one side. So reach into your right knee, bend it, and stretch open the inner thigh of your left leg. Now, once you're here, if you're stable enough, rise up and reach over to the side. If you need to keep two hands on the ground, by all means, keep two hands on the ground. Okay, back. Go all the way over to the other side, squat again. And see if you can open up through the inner thigh of that leg. Chest gets broad and long. Full breaths. And now if you feel stable, go ahead and come on up and stretch open through your side. Don't worry if you need to keep your hands down. This is a little bit precarious. And then come back to center. A wide squat again. Open up through your chest. And then we're going to come all the way up to stand. Wide legs. All right, so a little round robin, but first, before we do that, make sure you're not dizzy. So you just get used to being upright here. Big breaths. And then open up your arms. Find that sense of space, and you get to decide how low you're going to go. We're going to drop into the right foot, cross over to the left and up. And you do not have to bring your arms up. Maybe you'd rather just be side to side. Maybe you want to be low, just kind of find, we're just trying to get into our hips here. So allow any kind of flowing movement that works for your body. Maybe it's just more side to side instead of flowing and rotating. So just find you. And in the same posture we began, turn your toes straight, lengthen through your spine. Maybe your arms come out in front of you, maybe they don't. Heel toe your feet, bring them back in. Hip width apart. Bend your knees, grab onto the back of your head, interlace your fingers, pull your chin toward your chest, and stretch all the muscles along your spine. Halfway lift, spine gets longer. Exhale and melt. We're gonna come down. Now you have a choice. You always have a choice for every single thing we do. You have a choice, but come into pigeon pose if you want, okay, so that you have that sense of opening up your hips now. Okay, so right leg comes first. I like to use a blanket underneath my sit bone and my opposite thigh or my back thigh. So do you, however you like to support yourself. You could be on your back in reverse pigeon pose. So find your way into opening up the hip. All right, so breathing well here. The spine stays long and spacious. When you melt your skull, is there anywhere that you can really deeply rest more? Come back up. Let's move our way to the second side. So you get to decide how you want to transition into this pose, whatever feels good to you. We're changing sides, so maybe you're going into reverse pigeon pose, and you were in regular pigeon pose. So whatever works for you. You can be on your back or forward. Lengthen through your spine no matter what you're doing, and rest your head on something if you can. If you're on your back, let your head melt into the earth. If you're leaning forward, maybe see what I'm doing. I'm putting a block under my forehead. Take as much support in this posture as you need. Keep the neck as loose as possible. Soften the jaw, soften the hands if you can. Just find your way into all the little nooks and crannies that you can melt a bit. Your belly, your diaphragm, your shoulders. All right, so as you're ready, let's find our way out of the pose. Swing that leg around if that's what works for you. Find your way into some ease, sitting upright for a moment. Okay, and then continue on your sitting on that edge of a blanket. Oh, maybe you don't have, but grab an edge of a blanket. I have one, so therefore I assume everybody else has one. But if you can, sit on the edge of a blanket. You can bring your legs together to touch, or you can have your feet hip width apart, whichever works for you for Paschimottanasana. Okay. And remember, we're trying to have that sense of openness and length through the spine. Start to come forward to a place where your body feels long and spacious. And once you're at your end point, tuck your chin toward your chest. Back up. We're going to take our feet off to the right. If you have that blanket, let your left sit bone be on the blanket and your right sit bone can kind of hang down in that little pocket. Okay. If this doesn't feel good on your feet or your knees, you can sit cross-legged. I like to sometimes use a block behind me to put my hand on, but you can put your hand on the floor, so whichever works for you. And we're going to twist. So start with your arm up and then bring your hand either face down or face out to the outside of your left knee. Drop your right sit bone down into the pocket and breathe your way into this twist. Now, it's hard. It's not always so easy to feel that you can stretch your transverse abdominis muscle. I mean, we stretch a little bit of it with side bends and back bends and forward bends, but also notice what the twisting does for your core muscles to open things up. All right, come back to center. I'm going to move my blanket, so now it's underneath the opposite sit bone. So have your right sit bone on the blanket, your feet off to the left. Your left sit bone is dropped down into the pocket. Hand behind you to support. Lift your other arm up, left arm up. Twist left, twist to the right. Left hand can come to the outside of the knee. Face in or face out. Your choice. Breathing well. Try not to push your low back forward. Instead, draw the ribs and puff the kidneys a little bit. Drop the hip down. Maybe turn the head all the way. Maybe turn your head back toward your knees. What it feels good. Relax and come out of that pose. We're going to come down onto our back. Okay. Bring your knees to your chest. And just rock a little bit, swaying, kind of getting used to the feeling of easing your back. Now you're going to have a couple of choices here. You maybe just want to keep your knees to your chest. Maybe you want to come into happy baby pose. Maybe you want to do some rocking plow, or you can come into plow, or you can do what I'm doing, where you just put your knees on your forehead and let your back stretch. So you don't have to be into a full plow. You can keep your knees bent. If that's a little easier for your hamstrings, you can be on the edge of blankets. Just find whatever feels good to stretch the full back line of the body to whatever place that's nice for you. It can just be simply bringing your knees to your chest. There's no rules, there's no right or wrongs. Whatever you're doing, you're breathing. You're going to come out of there. Put your feet onto the ground. Rest your body for a moment. Relax. And then we're going to open up the feet. If you want to use your two blocks to support your knees for Supta Baddha Konasana, you can do that. Perhaps you'd like to spend a moment with your legs up the wall instead of Supta Baddha Konasana. So just choose a pathway that is really relaxing for you for this moment. Maybe you want to ignore me and just do a twist to each side. So find what would feel really nice in your body right now. I would recommend, a moment of a restorative posture, but that's entirely up to you. Whatever you're choosing, whether it's a longer shavasana or some other posture, can you melt a little bit? Can you let your body rest here? Make sure if you're doing something that has two sides that you switch to the other side. When you're ready, you could, if you're in a restorative pose like leg up the wall or Supta Baddha Konasana, you can stay. There's no rules that you have to change your position. But if you want to come to lie down for Shavasana, you can straighten your legs, you can come onto the floor, you can take your body in any position that serves. So as you settle, try to enjoy. So we have a sense of ease across our skull, the eyes, the jaw, the tongue, the teeth, everything can melt a bit. Feel how heavy your limbs are. Let them come into their full weight. And just notice the miracle of your breath, this beautiful energy that keeps us alive. When you're ready, let's begin to deepen our breathing as you bring yourself into consciousness of your outer body again. Feel the fullness of your whole being. move in any way that serves you. Eventually, we're going to find our way onto our side. And bring yourself to an upright posture when you're ready. Soften ourselves just a bit as you come to sit, melt something. Let's open up our breath, full body breath. Offer your energy to another, send your love and care. Namaste. Thank you.